Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. New cabinet ministers sworn in. Local communities in the Caribbean will now be able to establish business environments to support small and medium-sized enterprises via the newly established Caribbean Local Economic Development Program. And this year's Public Service Open House Week comes to an end. Thank you for joining us. Greater delivery, greater performance and implementation. This will be the result of the new cabinet reconfiguration, according to Prime Minister the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissassa, who spoke with reporters at the signing-in ceremony of the newly appointed ministers of government at President's House.
I do believe that the composition of the cabinet, the configuration of the cabinet as it stands, is better poised for greater delivery, greater performance and implementation. So it's all well and good, to talk about numbers and size and so on. What is important is that the focus areas of concern to the population, those areas are being addressed by the reconfiguration and the present composition of the cabinet.
Mrs. Persad-Bissassa says the various changes will play a critical role in better delivery and service to the country. She named several of the new portfolios and delved into some detail on the actual function of the various ministries. She also highlighted that one of the weakest ministries was in fact communications.
Environment and water resources, again, this is an area where we were very strong about in our manifesto. And we felt that it needed to have standalone status. The vision for it is based on the model in Singapore, where, if you recall, Singapore used to buy water from Malaysia. And after they created this particular kind of sector, water resource environment, they now sell water to Malaysia. So it is to put focus on water from the time the raindrop falls from the sky, hits the ground and runs off down to the sea. Every drop of water will either be trapped or tapped, as the case may be, and not necessarily to deal also with the flooding issues, because I intend within that portfolio to have the drainage division as well. So it is a very, very important area, and again, as I say, I do not agree that portfolios are created necessarily just to have warm bodies there. There are areas that I want more focus given to. Communications, as you know, has been, I think, our weakest from all reports and indeed in our various retreats.
The Prime Minister also sought to clarify the different functions of the Ministry of Arts and Multiculturalism and the newly established Ministry of National Diversity and Social Integration. She says both ministries are quite different.
The national diversity will take into the main concept of it, the core of it as I see it, is unity in diversity. It will pick up areas dealing with patriotism, pick up areas dealing with national heroes, protocols, a host of areas, and I'm sure when the schedules come to you, you will see. But my concept for it is for us, as we celebrate our diversity, there must also be unity. So you have the national diversity, and then you have the social integration.
So this was not to manage ethnic or race relations or anything like that?
No, it's not ethnic relations, it is our diversity in whatever regard. It may be with respect to geographic location, it may be with respect to a host of other things. It is not a Ministry of Race Relations. It is very distinguished from multiculturalism. Multiculturalism will pick up the expressions of culture, the art forms and expressions of culture. This will go, in my respectful view, on a more philosophical and substantive basis, dealing with concerns and issues which arise in a diverse society where we seek to have unity in diversity.
The Prime Minister is also expressing great confidence in newly appointed Minister of Finance and the Economy, Larry Hawaii. She says he brings with him a great deal of experience and knowledge.
It echoes or it consolidates my view that we need to do more to kickstart the economy. Minister Dukran did very well stabilizing the economy, and therefore with Minister Hawaii, who has a wealth of experience in banking, for example, there's tremendous excess liquidity in the local banking sector. These are areas I'm hoping that we can tap into through the experience of Minister Hawaii to get our economy tipped off further for growth.
The new Minister of Trade, Industry and Development, Vasant Bharath, is now expected to create avenues to bring in extra income into the country.
And this is where I've also created with Vasant Bharath trade, industry and investment because that too is a very important arena to bring more money into the country, investments into the country. There are several initiatives based on many of the visits we paid abroad. Those are starting to come forward, expressing tremendous support. Indeed, Chandra Singh, our High Commissioner to India, will be here shortly with some of those investors coming out of India. And we do have some others out of Panama. So some of those are starting to come together, but you need someone to take all of it and coordinate it.
Veena Bharath, News 4.
Local communities in the Caribbean region will now be able to establish business environments to support small and medium-sized enterprises via the newly established Caribbean Local Economic Development Kerry Let Program, which has now been opened in the borough of Chaguanas. High Commissioner of Canada to Trinidad and Tobago, Her Excellency Karen MacDonald, says the Caribbean program has already started to see some very positive results.
5 countries have introduced more efficient value-added taxes, leading to increased revenue for governments. 6 countries are modernizing customs systems and procedures, resulting in increased trade within the region. 8 countries have adopted public financial management reform action plans. 11 countries have undertaken bank supervision and stress testing, resulting in increased transparency and stability.
The High Commissioner of Canada to Trinidad and Tobago says the Canadian government sees the initiative as being greatly beneficial to this region in particular. She outlined some of the anticipated benefits which would be of even greater significance to the region. It is also expected to support up to 50 local governments and agencies, which in turn are expected to reach up to 500 small enterprises in several countries of the Caribbean region.
As the program continues, many more positive developments are expected, including an improved environment for business development, trade, and integration, training staff in ministries of finance and in central banks, establishing national debt management policies and procedures, and strengthening the technical, planning, financial, and managerial capacities of small and medium-sized firms, amongst other things.
Her Excellency Karen MacDonald is also boasting of the strong ties shared between this country and Canada.
I would be remiss if I did not highlight how very proud Canada is of its close and long-standing ties with Trinidad and Tobago. Indeed, this year, as Trinidad and Tobago celebrates 50 years of independence, we are also celebrating 50 years of official diplomatic relations between our 2 countries. Indeed, Canada was one of only 3 countries to recognize Trinidad and Tobago on the very first day of its independence, August 31st, 1962.
Also speaking at the event was Chaguanas Mayor Orlando Nagasa, who says the Kerry Let project is expected to use local resources and create new jobs while stimulating local economic growth by working directly with local governments, local authorities, and a wide range of stakeholders.
We are quite proud to be hosting the Kerry Let office here at the borough of Chaguanas. We feel very honored. As we understand it, local government practitioners, local government in the Caribbean, at least 6 countries we're told, will utilize assets and human capital to stimulate economic growth, create jobs and develop the business sector. The purpose actually of Kerry Let. We all know that local government is the heart of democracy and serves as the foundation of a resilient economy. Local authorities therefore are best placed to be the initiator, the facilitator, and the mobilizer for local economic development. This institution, local government, is closest to the people. So we feel that the Kerry Let program in the Caribbean, in Trinidad, actually will fit into our program.
Veena Bharath, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us.
Homo sapien, we'll call him Mark. It spends its days trying to attract a mate. Success. What follows is a series of celebratory actions unique to this species. Every Homo sapien has their own way of displaying themselves to attract a female. But things don't go according to plan.
Where the water gone?
No water, no love. Pay your water bill today.
The Water and Sewage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. Water security for every sector. Deliver it. Sustain it.
There's a spark of greatness in each of us. That spark is called personality. Individual gifts and talents provide the fuel to set that spark ablaze. Each child has the right to an education which values their personality and nurtures their talents, while teaching them to be respectful to their parents and their cultures.
Thank you for staying with us. Government is vowing to provide additional care for the hearing impaired. Minister of the People and Social Development, Dr. the Honorable Glenn Ramadar-Singh, made the disclosure during the weekly post-cabinet media briefing, where he pledged his support to diagnostic research, educational and therapeutic center for the hearing impaired. Trinidad and Tobago, Dretchy.
Disabled persons looking to improve their education qualifications now have a chance to receive financial support from the government, as Cabinet has approved a grant of $5,000 for persons in need of special training. The announcement was made by Social Development Minister Dr. Glenn Ramadar-Singh, who noted that the plans will come on stream simultaneously to its introduction of PTSC access cards for the disabled, providing free transport to them.
We want to begin to roll out the automatic food card that was mentioned in the budget, the free bus pass for all differently abled persons, and the development scholarship right now at $5,000 for any differently abled persons who want to develop themselves in reskilling, re-education, or educating themselves.
He added that over $4 million will be spent in the construction of a noise attenuation wall at the Dretchy compound located on Ryson Road in Port of Spain, the organization that has provided care and training for the hearing impaired in Trinidad and Tobago for numerous years.
We are very happy to support the building of what is a noise attenuation wall. This is the initial point of intervention in dealing with noise intrusion and noise level that impact negatively on the work of Dretchy. The noise attenuation wall, therefore, is a function-specific wall that combines features of the traditional along with appropriate technological applications to achieve a significant reduction in the decibel as well as the sound frequency levels on the Dretchy compound. We have approved the sum of $4.602 million $751.70 to Dretchy in the construction of their wall and other related works to enhance the work that they do.
Over 51,000 persons are said to be living with some kind of disability here in Trinidad and Tobago. It's for this reason plans to conduct a survey mapping out persons vulnerable to society will soon be conducted.
We are indeed looking at and eagerly awaiting all the documents that form the census report. And we have also commissioned our own standards of livings survey, of which we will work with local government to do vulnerability mapping of our differently abled citizens in the case of any natural disaster.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
This year's Public Service Open House Week came to an end, and in reflecting on the week's achievements, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Administration, Gillian McIntyre, described the event as tremendous in getting the word out on the various services offered by state agencies and ministries. The event is said to have offered persons a chance to interact with public servants directly.
Public Service Week is being hailed a success as hundreds of persons are said to have visited the many booths set up to highlight the achievements of the various government ministries and state agencies. Permanent Secretary in the Public Administration Ministry, Gillian McIntyre, in describing the week-long of activities, said it gave persons a chance to reflect on our country's rich history and where we've come to where we are at now.
The people were particularly interested in the timelines, who was the head of the public service and at different stages. For example, during the coup, during the 1818 Black Power days, people never looked at they're aware of the politicians at that time, but they weren't aware as to who was at the helm of the public service at that time. And I also know that the Office of the Prime Minister is doing a publication in this regard.
This year, the event coincides with Jubilee Independence Day celebrations. But in looking back at the event, Ms. McIntyre noted this year's open house served as an opportunity to recognize the many who have served our nation.
It's something that we used to do. 10 years ago was probably the last public service week of activities. It was always done to celebrate UN Public Service Day, which is always on June 23rd. What's different about this year is that we're celebrating our 50th anniversary, and the theme of the week is From Gold to Diamond. So we're celebrating those public officers who have helped us to attain the golden age. And in that regard, we are doing awards.
Ms. McIntyre said the awards will give those who served a chance to be honored and go down in the book of laying the foundations for our nation.
I want the general public to understand that it can be anyone who is in the public service now or has already left the public service. They might even have passed away. We are giving posthumous awards. I want them to think about the teacher that stood out for them during their school days, the police officer that they might have interacted with who stands out, any judicial officers, anybody, a vault attendant, a wonderful secretary. It's for people at all levels.
A public service gala ceremony from gold to diamond will be held on Thursday, July 12th, in honor of these meritorious public servants who have served for 15 years or more. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
When we come back, the Sport Report.
I'm Natasha, and like most Trinbagonians, I love the beach. The beach can be fun, but we have to be tsunami smart and know the warning signs. You're at the beach and you feel the earth shake. Run. You see the water moving an unusual distance out from the shore. Run. You hear a strange roar from the sea. Run. If you experience any of these warning signs, run to higher ground. Be tsunami smart and know the natural warning signs. They could save your life.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, United States Agency for International Development, Caribbean Disaster and Emergency Management Agency, UWI Seismic Research Center, and the European Union.
In 1976 Olympic gold medalist Hazley Crawford picked Caston Bledman to take the men's 100 meters at the National Track and Field Championships, and he did not disappoint. The 24-year-old sounded a warning to the 100-meter field at the London 2012 Olympic with a personal best of 9.86 seconds. Here's Wayne Cunningham with the full race, as well as some other highlights from the weekend.
There is no denying that the marquee events at the National Track and Field Championships are the men's and women's 100-meter sprints. But the men's 400 meters was probably the most exciting race on Saturday, and the Honourable Annan Roberts, Minister of Sport, was on hand to take it all in. Lalon Gordon snatching victory from the 2011 champion Rene Kwao. In the women's version of the one-lap event, it was Sparkle McKnight making it look easy as she took that race ahead of Shauna Fulmain and Elena Brooks. In the men's B100 meters, it was Sherman Alsop of local club Concord crossing the tape first, followed by Jason Rogers of St. Kitts Nevis with Simplex's Moriba Moraine in third. Kellyanne Batiste was the favorite in an impressive field for the women's 100 meters A final. She justified that tag with a 10.98 second victory. Seymour Hackett came in second in 11.14, while Kai Selvan was third in 11.24. The men's 100 meters featured an equally impressive win. Keston Bledman with a personal best, 9.86 seconds to take his first senior title. The torpedo, Richard Thompson, was second in 9.96, and Rondell Sorolo in 10.03 was good enough for third. Ahead of Mark Burns, Emmanuel Callender, Jamal James, Darrell Brown, and Aaron Armstrong. Bledman then took some time to admire the facts of his achievement. Now it's on to London for the games of the 30th Olympiad. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
When we come back, fulfilling the promise.
You will see how we have been retasked with a newly equipped CSI division and data systems that not only put crime-fighting logistics at our fingertips, but those of CSI units throughout the world. And you will see how our police service has been reborn with a new sense of pride, a new sense of duty, and a new sense of community service that demonstrates that protect and serve means we are really here to protect and serve you, and to do it with pride. Each of us has chosen to serve, to do public service, to be here for you in some of life's most terrifying and saddest moments, to listen, to help, to be there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our hearts and minds will never close.
In our special feature, Fulfilling the Promise, we highlight the initiatives and achievements of the government over its 2 years in office. At News 4, we've joined in that effort, and each day in our news package, we feature one of those highlights from the long and impressive list of milestones over these last 24 months. In this story, we look at the ACTT South Outreach.
San Fernando West MP Carolyn Sipasat Bechan is announcing that the full range of services which is usually offered by the ACTT's outreach office in Port of Spain will now be easily accessible by persons who would usually have had to travel long distances. She was speaking at the opening of the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago's South Outreach Office at Independence Avenue in San Fernando.
The opening of this South Outreach is in keeping with the government's objective to decentralize the services offered to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. It is important here to recognize that this South Outreach Office will be offering the full range of services offered by the main office in Port of Spain. And as Michael alluded to, these services including accreditation equivalence assessment, program approval, quality enhancement, and registration will be done right here in this office of San Fernando. This means that students from tertiary institutions and members of staff can, and in areas as far as the Carcass, I understand, Michael, am I correct, and Guayagayari, will no longer have to travel all the way to Port of Spain for assistance and to access the evaluation services there.
Minister of Science, Technology and Tertiary Education, Senator Fazal Karim, was on hand to formally open the centre. Minister Karim says the aim is to eliminate what he calls the phenomenon of the discouraged graduate, whom he described as a graduate unable to find employment after graduating from institutions of higher learning.
As Minister, I would like to reduce, if not eliminate, the issuance, the phenomena of the discouraged graduate. We have read about the discouraged worker, that is one who is constantly seeking employment, but finds it difficult to be employed. And I have coined, therefore, in like manner, the discouraged graduate, one who is seeking employment after graduation and is unable to find that.
The Tertiary Education Minister says measures must be implemented to encourage persons to pursue tertiary education in this country.
It is my view, ladies and gentlemen, that we must as well put policies in place to encourage this continuous education and transfer. But importantly, to inspire our youth to further study rather than allow them to become frustrated and discouraged.
Minister Karim is also urging tertiary education institutions to work hand in hand with the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago to develop their programs and institutions.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.